Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Small Business Briefing. I'm Rob Fowler, the CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan. Today I'm without my wingman, Brian Calley, the president of SBAM. Brian is on vacation. If you have been, if you're following Brian on Facebook, you would know that he's actually on vacation with his two daughters and the family dog, and it looks pretty cute. I don't know if I can say cute, but they look like they're having a great time. Brian will be back on Monday. Today is Thursday, July 15th, and this briefing is brought to you by Marana Group. Marana Group is a data, documents, and distribution solutions company in Kalamazoo. I don't know if you knew that according to the Census Bureau, 15.3 million people households move in the United States per year, which makes it really difficult to keep up with mailing lists. And Marana Group can help you with current mailing lists and a number of other things. You can find out more at maranagroup.com. Well, today is July 15th, and July 15th is an interesting day. It's the first day that automatic child care or child tax credits, automatic payments come to those who are eligible for it. Let me just kind of explain a little bit about who is eligible and what this is. Child tax credits have been around for a long time. Usually you would receive them when you file your taxes. This is a sort of pull forward, literally a cash payment made each month between now and the end of 2021 for eligible recipients. To be eligible, a married couple under $150,000 and a single parent under $112,000 will receive automatically $250 per child ages 6 to 17 per month, $250 per child per month. And for children under 6, $300 per child per month, again, for the rest of 2021. I tell you that it's not directly a small business issue, but it certainly gets at the issue of at least one of the reasons that it's so difficult for some people to come back into the workplace after the pandemic, or this was an issue even before the pandemic, is the cost of childcare or even the availability of childcare. We have a guest today. Sheri Welsh is the owner of Welsh Associates, recruiting, talent recruiting, and she's just an awesome expert in talent. Sheri's in Kalamazoo and also serves on the board of directors of SBAM. Sheri, I thought I would just start with, well, first welcome, and with that issue of you know, do you think this will help at all as we look forward to maybe get some people back into the workforce?
I'm not sure it will help. I think it was well intended, but I'm not sure it will help, Rob. Mostly because it's doing the same thing perhaps that our supplemental unemployment benefits did, and that is give folks enough money in their pocket that staying home is okay. They can make it because they're getting that additional income. Because the child tax credit isn't requiring you to go to work to be able to cash that check. So it's supplemental income you can really choose to use any way that you want to. The other issue that is happening right now is that even if you want to go back to work, if you have an infant or a small child that you need to put in full-time daycare, you may not be able to find a spot for them. There are not openings available, and that's a complex issue too, complicated by the fact that many providers had to really clamp down right during the pandemic, had to reduce their staff. They're trying desperately to expand and open up classrooms and operations, but guess what? They can't find workers either. And as you know, it's a very regulated industry, childcare, which it should be, a lot of regulations, and it's very labor intensive. And when they can't find people, private providers can't open up. It's become really complicated. I mean, and I know of people literally with infants who are forced to work at home right now. Employers want them to be in their offices and they can't because they can't find a place to place their 5-month-old.
Yeah, I see that it can cut both ways. It can have the same impact as the supplemental unemployment, but it may be enough to you know, the cost of childcare is one of the one of the big issues. And so we'll keep track of this one and love to get your take on it as we've lived with it for a little while as this year goes on. You know, I wanted to talk to you because you're just such a wealth of information about this whole area of talent. I mean, we were in a labor shortage before the pandemic. And I just wonder what you see as maybe differences or similarities of the labor shortage we were experiencing before the pandemic started and what we're in today.
Yeah, it is different, Rob. You make a great point. I mean, pre-pandemic, it was tight, but companies were generally finding solutions and workaround to get what they need. Everybody was talking about it. It was an issue, but I would say it was not as acute as it is right now. So post-pandemic, the disruption that has been caused on many different levels is just something that is acute. It's hiring good talent is an acute issue. So you have workers that have moved to the gig economy, right? Because they have figured out, oh, I could do this. It works out really well for me. They're never returning to traditional workforce. Then we have the whole group, which we kind of touched on, that due to governmental subsidies at whatever level they're getting, they've decided that I can kind of make it. We got one income working. We don't need to be a 2-income household because we're getting enough in subsidies from other places that, we're getting by just fine. And I kind of like this. There are people that have, forever left the workforce because work ethics have changed. There are people that can't find daycare, that can't afford daycare. And another thing that's changed in the post-pandemic talent issue is that, the issue of ghosting, which, you may have been familiar with, but where people don't, basically you have a conversation with a candidate thinking that they might be interested. You talk to them on the phone, maybe you have an interview, they stop talking to you. That's been happening. It is happening at professional levels now where people are just dropping out, which is so bizarre. Kind of plays into that. What has happened to our work ethic? I mean, the disruption that we've had has been severe and it's acute now. It was not like that pre-pandemic. I wouldn't have called it acute.
Very interesting. I hear employers talk about people who accept jobs and then don't show up. That ghosting issue.
Yes, hey, they accept jobs and don't show up. They accept interviews and don't show up, don't call, don't respond to emails, just drop out. It's bizarre.
Yeah. So I wanted, you and I talked earlier, and I've heard you speak to this issue of what are the really practical things people can do? I mean, everybody knows this is an issue.
Yep.
We all see the signs. We see I see signing bonuses now. It's kind of gotten to an interesting point. What are some practical things that a small business can do to compete in this kind of environment?
Right. There are a lot of things that a small business can do. And let me just touch on a couple facts too that I think might be interesting, because there could be people listening like, I'm still not really sure that this is affecting me, or why is this important? I'll just say if it's not affecting you and your business right now, it is sure to do so. Because from the latest census, we know that the working age population, which is deemed 16 to 64, shrunk last year. It's estimated to have shrunk last year for the first time in maybe since we've recorded this, right? And that is serious. 2019, it leveled, okay? So we are going into a long-term labor shortage. This is not a short-term, we got to get through the disruption from the pandemic thing. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride for years to come. So we do need to be thinking about not only short-term strategies, but some long-term, okay? So some of the things from a very, strategic and high level, I think that as small business owners, we can think about is what is it that we do in our businesses right now that can be automated in some fashion or can be outsourced to a third party to do, meaning we can free up labor dollars in our organization to put into other places or cross-train somebody to do the work of two now that, is now handled by just one person because we've outsourced and automated. I think it's a really great time to look at a merger or an acquisition, right? If you've got cash in your pocket, and there are plenty of companies I know that ran themselves well and have a little PPP money left over, right? Now might be time to look at acquiring another organization. With that, you scoop up a whole bunch of talent, right? And you can eliminate duplicative positions, and you might be able to just take care of some of those labor issues that you had previously had challenges with. It's a really, really good time to evaluate your business and stop doing the low margin, high labor intensive, low reward work. I mean, really examine what you're doing and hone in to the types of work, services, products, customers, right, that you're able to do work with at the highest margins and the lowest labor costs, and do more of that. And then the other thing, I think it's always easier to keep what you have versus try to go out and get more new, right? So we really need to be amping up the care and feeding of our teams, of our most valuable asset, our people, our employees. You know, we hear all this talk about culture is everything. It is everything, right? And as small business owners, we have a lot of latitude and ability to flex and move and offer schedules and work situations and environments that are just so warm and cozy. Why would anyone want to leave us, right? I mean, maybe we're not the most competitive financially from a pure cash comp standpoint, but this is such a great place to be. It feels like family here. I can't leave. We need to invest in our cultures heavily right now.
Yeah, you may have heard me say this on Monday, but I'm just so proud of the SBAM team, and you know them well. We have had zero turnover from the day this pandemic started, and I think it's partly because we have a big mission to help small businesses succeed in our state, and I think everybody felt really that sense of mission. So I agree with you. It's a blessing to have low turnover because it's such a difficult labor force.
Right.
So, you know, it's interesting. I think one of the things we've been trying to do is we have been talking about this issue for a long time. Pre-pandemic, it's taken different forms during the course of the pandemic, but it seems like it's about to take an even more difficult course, and that is the issue of inflation. And what happens as we go into what really looks like headwinds, labor shortages, so low supply, high demand, plus inflation. You know, what does that mean for wages and benefits in particular as small businesses have to compete?
Yeah, well, I think we all know what it means, don't we, Rob? They're going up. Wages are going up. Cost of benefits are going up. Everything, all pricing of everything, goods and services, is going to escalate and just fuel the future of rising costs and more inflation. It's going to go on and on until we get to some kind of a leveling point. So it's going to be very challenging. I think the best thing that we have in our quiver, so to speak, to fight against this as small business owners is that, you know, we can be nimble and flexible to make changes quickly based on what we see going on in the economy. So that is really our best strategic advantage. And, you know, when it comes to compensation and benefits and competing in that level, I would encourage folks to really take a strong look at good benefits, a strong benefits package over cash comp. One of the big reasons I think strategic advantage here is the fact that, you know, we're not paying payroll taxes on benefits. So there is a huge savings by looking at giving a richer benefit plan, whether it's insurance or vacation for professional staff or other things, because it still means an awful lot to people. What we probably haven't done is communicate the true value of those benefits well, right? So we think, oh yeah, we can't compete from a comp standpoint. We're $5,000 less on salary. But when we're making that offer and we're talking with prospective candidates, are we really laying out the value, dollar value, the benefits they're getting? When I work with candidates who really look at that and are dialed in, they know what that means. There is extreme value to them in that. And there's hardly a deal that we're closing right now with new hires where benefits are not literally being laid out on a spreadsheet and looking at the numbers changing from one to the other. So benefits are really something I think that can help us win in that scenario, amping those up a bit. And the cost may not be as much as you think it would be when you look at cash comp versus cash comp.
Sheri, great insight. Always appreciate hearing your take on on these issues. Thanks for spending this time with us, and I'm sure we'll have you back again.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Rob.
See ya. All right. We also we have another guest, and I wanted to make sure and get him on. Jay Davis is a columnist, writer for Crain's Detroit Business.
I think I've written one column. It's
I didn't know whether to use the C word on you or not. But actually, Jay, I wanted to have you on because you have really a new feature in Crain's Detroit Business. It's called Small Business Spotlight with Jay Davis. And welcome. You turn your camera on. We want to see you. So welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, hey, just tell us a little bit about this new feature. I've seen some of the work you've done so far. It's very cool. I love the Spotlight on Small Business idea. Tell us about it.
Sure. This was something that we started talking about late last fall. I came on in October, and we started the series in January. It's a series where we choose 2 or 3 small business owners for a particular topic. We talk with them about a variety of things related to their industry. We usually add on an expert to get some outside analysis. It's a once a month feature that has a corresponding audio podcast with it. I'm actually working to turn in one today for this month. We've covered a lot of different things in 6 months. I know Sheri, when she was on earlier, was mentioning the gig economy. We did a story on that a couple of months ago. Succession planning with small business owners, young entrepreneurs and challenges they face, managing growth. We actually did a story last month on businesses and industries that aren't doing particularly well. And I actually was able to find the lone video rental store in Metro Detroit and talk with the manager there. And he was our podcast guest in June. So it just gives us a chance to highlight, some businesses and do some bigger picture stories and, just get these business owner stories out there, because they all have very interesting stories. It's just interesting hearing the stories of these small business owners because, you kind of learn that being a small business owner isn't glamorous at all. All of these people have very strong work ethics and they're, very enterprising people. So it's just, just been great, meeting different people and hearing their stories over the last 6 months.
What's the most surprising thing for you so far as you've begun to do this work?
I would say, just finding out how much work that these business owners put in. It isn't, work 9 to 5. Even if you have a family, a lot of these people are working 18, 20 hours a day and, not sleeping, but, you see the finished product, you think, wow, this is great. But, a lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And I think that's part of what our feature gives to readers is kind of look behind the curtain at these different industries and how things work and how, business owners make things so beautiful, I guess.
Awesome. Any trends that you're seeing? We just talked about this issue of inflation. I think it's one of the things on the horizon. Any other thing you're seeing as sort of as Michigan emerges from this pandemic?
Well, inflation is a real issue. I was talking a couple hours ago with the owners of a toy and hobby shop in St. Clair Shores who got a boost during the pandemic, because everybody was at home and they do train sets and puzzles and different things like that. And what they're worried about later this year, particularly in the fourth quarter as we get closer to Christmas, is an increase in prices because supply chain issues are still present. They order a lot of things from Europe and Asia, and their store, which is 10,000 square feet, they have this wide variety of items. They have enough to fill their shelves, but the variety has been gone for a while, because they'll go to order something from overseas and they won't have as many options. So they'll order 50 of, 1 or 2 items as opposed to 4 or 5 of 10 different items. Yeah. So price hikes, just based on the supply chain issues we're seeing, are going to continue to be an issue for a while.
Yeah, very interesting. Jay, where could someone find your podcast and your feature?
Sure. Crainsdetroit.com. There is a tab at the top of our website, under the menu. There's under special features, and you scroll down to the bottom, and that's where the Small Business Spotlight information can be found, with a link to our most recent podcast, links to previous articles.
Excellent. I have enjoyed reading your stuff so far and look forward to reading it again in the future. Happy to be a resource for you. I think about the Small Business Association of Michigan and the people that we represent. Happy to be a resource for you whenever we can.
Thank you. Yeah, and we have a lot of good stuff going on at Crain's. We're introducing a new real estate reporter to go along with our commercial real estate coverage. We're introducing a residential real estate reporter. With our manufacturing and healthcare coverage, there's always something for everybody.
All right, thanks. And let me just remind everybody that if you are a VIP member of the Small Business Association of Michigan, you get Crain's as part of your member benefit. So thanks again, Jay, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for your time.
All right. A couple other things, just as we continue our briefing today. I wanted to bring up to speed on the My Shot to Win lottery. The question is, does a lottery help move the numbers in a state? As you may know, other states have gone down this path as well to try to boost their numbers. Let's put it in a little bit of context. The state's goal, and we believe that we have a stake in the state reaching this goal, is 70% of the eligible population, 16 and older, being vaccinated, at least one shot. 70% at least one shot. The goal is to get there by August 30th. That is about 20 days from now. We are currently at 62.4% of the eligible population, 16 and over, have had their first shot. That leaves a gap of about 610,000 people who need to get vaccinated to reach that 70%. At 20 days, that's about 30,000 shots a day. And we are currently on a $5,000 shot per day pace. So just a little context. The question is would an incentive of some sort make a difference? Does it help? So My Shot to Win is the ultimate award is $2 million. And there's $50,000 per day winners. The first 4 of those have been announced. And so it's begun. And we've got a couple of weeks we could begin to look, and I'll let you draw your own conclusions about whether it's working. In the week before the July 1st announcement of My Shot to Win, there were 46,000 people got vaccinated in the week. In the week after, but it included the 4th of July week, 25,000. So from 46,000 to 25,000 in the week immediately after that announcement. In the next week, this current week really has gone back up to 46,000. So it's really the first time it's gone up since the vaccination rate started its descent. Seems to be having some effect, and that makes us currently ranked at about 27th in the country in vaccination rates of those who are eligible, but we're ahead of Ohio and Indiana, so that's got to count for something. So again, just as a little context as we think about what it's going to take for the state of Michigan to get to 70%, which is herd immunity, and we believe, as I said, that small businesses have a stake in this, that getting there is important for our state. It means we never go back to shutdowns and restrictions. And so we'll continue to try to keep track of that and encourage people who are willing to do so to get their vaccinations. Also, earlier today, the Michigan Senate passed the Unlock Michigan. So just as a reminder, Unlock Michigan was a petition drive that gathered signatures to overturn or to remove from Michigan law the 1945 Riot Act. The 1945 Riot Act was the authority that Governor Whitmer used in the early part of the pandemic to make the rules and regulations that Michigan followed. It was what gave her the ability to do that. The Unlock Michigan proponents gathered thousands of signatures, enough to put it on the ballot. And the rule in Michigan is if you have enough for a citizen's petition, if enough signatures are gathered, it can either go on the ballot or the House and the Senate could pass it into law exactly as it was on the petition. And if it is passed into law, it cannot be vetoed. The Senate today passed their version, or it went through the Senate exactly as it was on the petition. And when the House comes back, it is expected that they will also pass it. It passed on party line vote. But what it would do is take the 1945 Riot Act off the books in Michigan, and it's something that our governor could not veto. So we'll continue to keep track of that and let you know how that goes. Couple things coming up as this in the next couple of weeks. Just wanted to make you aware of. We are doing a webinar again on this topic of struggling to hire talent. This is again a very practical tips for small businesses struggling to hire talent. It is next Thursday, the 22nd at 1 o'clock webinar, and we just put the information into the chat. Also, August 26th is the SBAM golf outing, our annual golf outing. This golf outing actually supports our entrepreneurial activities, and particularly supports the organization called Michigan Celebrates Small Business. If you know that organization, you might know it for its annual awards program called Michigan Celebrates Small Business. It's the awards program where we recognize the 50 companies to watch and other awards throughout our state. It's a great night. It's coming up soon. But also, this golf outing helps raise money to support the organization itself. And so, August 26th, more information can be found on the SBAM website at sbam.org. Thanks for joining us today. Brian and I will both be back on Monday. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great weekend.